Hi guys, welcome to the first Beaver Bakes. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lily.
And we're the family Sprat. Today we're going to show you how to make a basic white bread. This is going to be a lovely loaf using a basic white dough recipe. The white dough is really useful. You can make pizza from it, bread rolls, loaves of bread, and if you change it ever so slightly you can make donuts and other sweet pastries. So stick with me and we're going to show you everything you need to do. Okay, so the first part is actually waking up the yeast. Now this is dried yeast. This is the kind you normally find in the shops. This is actually in a state where it's currently asleep and we need to wake it up. We've got 7 grams of dried yeast there. So we'll put that into a bowl and we're going to wake it up with some tepid water, and this is 300 grams of tepid water. Tepid water is when it's been brought down to the same temperature as blood. So if you boil the kettle with the grown up, leave it to sit for about 20 minutes, and then once it's cooled down, get an adult to weigh it out, add some cold water to it, and you need it at the temperature where you can just put your finger in like that. But don't you do this. Get an adult to do it and then you can test it once they say it's okay. So you mix those together. And what Lily's doing here is she'll put it in. This is going to agitate it because she's going to stir it together to get rid of any lumps. And then once we've done that, we're going to cover it with cling film for a few minutes just to let it start to work. And you'll know when it's started to work because a few bubbles and foam will start to form on the top. So just put that there and give ourselves a quick cup of that. Okay, so this has settled for a little while. There's a couple of little bubbles on top. Now the next step is actually mixing it. As we've got 500 grams of strong white flour. Now Lily's going to carefully pour that onto the table. With a little bit of help. And we've got 7 grams of table salt. The table salt needs to go in not just for a little bit of flavour, but also stops the bread from over-proving, so you get big holes in it. So if you put that into there as well, and with your fingers, you're just going to gently mix it in, just the one hand, look, like that. You're going to mix it all in just to get some of the salt mixed up, because although it's good, if you put it directly onto the yeast, it stops the yeast from working, it'll kill it. I'm going to make a little hole in the middle, just there, a little well. I'm going to pour some in, and using your hand, just gently push it, or catch it so it comes in like that. And this is a bit of a sticky process, but you use your hands to get in. When you do it, you normally do it with one hand, and using that one hand, it allows you to keep one clean. Lily's got both hands dirty, but that's fine. And again, we're just going to pour the rest in. And just use your fingers, that's it. You can do it on the mixer, which is a lot quicker and a lot easier, but it's not as fun because it's nice to get your hands sticky. That's it, and pull it in. Basically, so all of the dry mix is wet and sticky. Now if, for example, it looks a bit dry, then what we do is add a little bit more water to it, because flours can sometimes take a little bit more water or a little less, depending on the variety of wheat they've used. Right, so I've got a little bit more water. Lily's just gone to wash her hands, and she's back. That'll be more than enough, a little bit of water there. And what I'm going to do is work around, taking all these little bits off. If you want to really get at it, I've got a pastry scraper. You can use the pastry dough scraper just to scrape it up in the bench. What Lily's doing now is she's starting to work it. It's just called kneading the dough. When you're working the dough and kneading it, you're stretching the glutens. You can see her hands are really sticky. So you push down and you pull it back. And what we'll see happen there is it's on my fingers. It starts off sticky, but the more that you work it, the more it actually starts to stretch the gluten, and it becomes stretchy. It'll become a nice little ball and rounded. So if Lily wants to get her hands in there, like that, that's it. The action is you're pushing and you're stretching it. Your hands can become really sticky, but they'll clean off after a while. Like that. You see, now it's not, what it's doing is, as it progresses, it's picking up the bits of dough that was on the actual bench, and it's cleaning the bench up a bit more. If you keep working at that, Lily. There's different ways people knead the bread, but it's entirely which way works best for you. It's all about getting it stretched. The more you do it and the more practice you get, the better you become at it. You can see the consistency now is that it's not as sticky. Before, when we first got it, it was sticking to your hands, but now it's not. It's a lot smoother, but it's still not quite there. What you need is to be able to get it to a stage where it's almost like a pain effect. So you actually start to say light, but it's not quite there yet.
So you can kind of make a pizza.
So yeah, so it's like a pizza, but you know that the dough is stretched and the gluten's worked enough because it becomes stretchier. Whereas this pulls more at the moment, it's tearing. So you keep working at it. Now you may be saying, what's the point of making bread when you can just nip to the shop and buy a loaf? Well, there's a couple of different reasons. One is, like Lily said, it's less money because it's cheaper to make your own bread. But two, it tastes nicer. Another reason is that because it's fresh and because you'll be eating it. Sorry, Lily?
And it gives you something to do.
It gives you something to do, but because it's fresh, it doesn't have all the preservatives in that a loaf does from the shop. Because those loaves have got to sit on the shelf for ages, whereas these ones, they're need to be eaten in a couple of days. It's the last that long. Isn't that good?
Yeah.
So push in like that, really stretch it and pull back. There is other ways where you can just fold it like that. But as long as you're working it, get your thumbs in if you want. I like the heel of my hand. There you go. You have a go with that. On the camera today we've got Zach. Next video we'll do, Zach will be doing it and having a go. Push it that way. That's it. Pull. Unless you're actually pounding this with a baseball bat or a rusty hammer, there's no wrong way of kneading the dough. It all gets there in the end. There we go. And what we're going to do is, you can do it like that if you want. Okay, you can fold it like that if you want to get into a ball, or if you're an expert, you can cup your hand like the claw, get it, and you just work it around. It'll go into a nice ball. But what I'm going to do is squash it like that, and I'm going to get Lily to have a go at folding it, mould it into a ball. I'm going to make a nice ball so I can put that into a bowl, cover it with cling film and leave it to prove. What other people can do, as I'll just show you, is you can just fold it like this, tuck it in, and as you pull the edges and tuck into the middle, to actually tidying it up, fold over and make a nice little neat ball like that. Now what we've got to do is we've got to prove this dough. Proving is leaving it to rise. There's not a set time for this. It takes as long as it takes. It could take an hour, it could take 2 hours, it all depends on the room that you're doing it in. But you need a nice warmish room. If it's too warm, it'll overprove and it'll not work. You're looking about 2 hours, but you need to leave it in there until it's doubled in size. But what Lily's going to do first is she's going to use some spray oil, spray the inside of the bowl, give it a wipe, and that'll stop the dough from sticking. That's it. And if you get your hand in, give it a good wipe around the outside, because what we don't want is for it all to stick to the actual bowl once it's proved, because by the time you get it out, it will knock all that air out and then you'll just have to start again. That's fabulous. Now Lily's going to put the dough inside that bowl. While it's sitting there, it may well stick ever so slightly. And then you can use cling film or saran wrap if you're in America. You can use a damp tea towel. I prefer to use cling film because it keeps the warmth in a bit more. So just cling film the top. Now that side, cram it in. And what that's doing is it's creating moisture inside the bowl so that your dough doesn't dry out, because if it dried out it wouldn't cook very well, it would end up crusty on the outside. We're going to leave that there for 2 hours until it's doubled in size. Welcome back. So our bread's proven, and the next step is to shape it, put it into the tin, and then leave it to prove a little bit longer so we can put it in the oven and see it's actually nice and spongy. We'll just carefully ease it out. You can see it's coming lovely from the sides because Lily's done a nice job. And use a little bit of this oil, squirt it onto the bench. All this is going to do is prevent the dough, the top side of the dough, sticking. Now carefully push down. So we're not pushing all of the air out. What we're doing is we're knocking it. We're going to shape it slightly. So as it's like that, I want you to get the corners, pull it up a bit. Same with these. So get your fingers under there and just gently tease it out. So you're making a rectangular shape. Okay? Then coming forward with the top, put it down, and just get your fingers and you're just going to push down so it seals it. And the same again, push down at the edge there. And we're not knocking it too much, and that there, and then lifting up, and you can have a nice little shape. So get in your hands, not too hard. Just going to shape around. Now this is a £2 or 900 gram cake tin. Get your cake tin and you line it with greaseproof paper or silicone paper. The best way is to size it up, see if it's the right size, push it in. Now what we're going to do, put the greaseproof paper on there, lift this carefully onto the paper, a little bit air, but we'll push that off for now, and we'll lift it up both sides and just drop it in. Give it a little tap, that makes it cling film, which I'm going to lightly spray with oil. Just give it a little squirt. Taking this side, you lift it up and you put the greaseproof side down. Now might be sometimes you need an adult to help, especially when it comes to the hot bits or the knives. There we go. And we'll leave that there. We're going to leave that until it's doubled in size again, and you'll see, and we'll come back to it once it's done. Speak to you soon. Right, so that's it being proven. Let's take it off. It obviously hasn't stuck to it because Lily greased a bit of cling film beforehand. The last job you need to do, if you're too young, get an adult to do this, is we're going to score the top of the dough. What that does is it stops the bread from actually splitting and getting a big crack, so when it puts in the oven, it'll expand and you'll be able to see a nice little pattern on top. So with a sharp knife, here we go, across the top, ever so slightly. So you end up with a little pattern like that. Then it's time to put in the oven. I've got a hot oven here. I've got the oven set about 220 fan for my gas oven. It all depends on the oven that you've got. Ovens vary in temperature, so put it to what you think. I'll put this in the middle of the oven there. A tray in the bottom, and you just pour a little amount of water. What that does is it creates steam. That steam gives a nice little crust and it keeps it moist on the outside, so you have a nice crusty bit of bread. I'll set the timer. Right, so that's it been in the oven now for 20 minutes. After 15 minutes I took it out of the tin, left it for a further 5 minutes. It needed a couple of more seconds, so in total it's been in the oven for 26 minutes. Take it out using an oven cloth. Like I said, you'll sharp know if it's ready, because it sounds hollow. Make sure you're not touching your face like that. As long as we're eating it, we're fine. Allow that to cool fully, because if you try and cut into it when it's hot, you'll squash all of the bread together and the dough doesn't come back properly the same. Once it's cooled, it also relaxes. The outside crust gets a little bit softer, but it's still crunchy, but it gets softer. If you like a soft look bread and you don't like chewing on it, you can actually wrap your bread up like that, and that keeps some of the steam inside, which will soften the crust. But we like a crusty loaf, so we'll leave that to cool completely, get an adult to cut it and slice it up for you and enjoy. See you next time, guys. Bye.